Action! We are back, and we got a good one.
Touchdown, Raiders!
Yo, salute to everybody already here in the building. We appreciate you guys so much. Welcome to the latest installment of the Graphic and Wasted Show.
Or the Wasted Graphic Show, whichever way you like to slice it. My guy, what's the deal, brother?
My brother, we have a really dope show lined up today. We need it right now because we're still kind of dealing with this Raiders hangover from Monday Night Football last night. We're going to talk about that, but first and foremost, we have a guest backstage, man, that's kind of lived like 20 lives wasted. I swear, I've never had a guest that is actually like won music like awards and then transitions into the sports space. And I'm
He's
talking
a Raider Renaissance man.
That is the best way to say it. College football live. Golic and Wingo. I remember the Golic and Wingo show. I remember that. Sports Center on Snapchat. I mean, he's done so much now. Fox Sports Radio, Yahoo Sports. And the dope thing about our guest is he is a diehard Raider fan. So we're going to get real Raider talk here. Salute to our guy, Jason Fitz in the building, man. Thank you for being here, brother.
No, boys, thanks for having me. Like, that's an amazing intro. And like, look, I always say to everybody, I do what I do today. And I've said this on air a bunch. I do what I do today because I love the Raiders. Like the thing when I was living on a tour bus and, I knew I wanted to change lives and everybody's like, what do you really love? My answer is sports. I want to talk about sports, but I love sports because my dad, when I was a little kid, would get a dozen donuts and we'd sit down together and we watched the Raiders game. Like it's been my life since I was so small. And the funny thing is when I started in this business, I was like, the one thing I'm not going to do is I'm not going to let any of my work life take away my joy that I get out of Sundays. Like there's just something about my friends have asked me for years, why are you still a Raiders fan? Like, shut it off. My friends at ESPN still, like I get texts every Sunday. They're like, I'm sorry, man. I'm like, look, I can't shut this part of me off. It's identified in who I am. I remember my 6th grade yearbook. Everybody wrote Go Raiders in it. Like it's my whole life has been dedicated to this team. And so I love that I get to talk about sports, but like I will always talk about the Raiders with anybody because it feeds my soul.
It's in our DNA, right? And your story is very cool because you're a Grammy-winning musician. I mean, you work with artists like Matchbox 20, Tim McGraw. I mean, the list goes on. How did that transition go from music into the sports realm?
Now, so our busiest, my biggest success was with the country band called the Band Perry, and our biggest hit was "If I Die Young." And "If I Die Young," when I left the band, was the 4th biggest song of all time in country music at that time. Like "If I Die Young" did the damn thing. Like it made it over to pop. It made it over to like the adult contemporary charts. We toured the world, and our busiest year was gone 300 days. And I remember coming home at the end of that year, and I'm like, man, I've worked my whole life for this, and I'm so lucky to do it, but I don't love it. And I was talking to one of my buddies, and he said, if I asked 100 of your friends what you really love, what would the answer be? And I said, sports. And he's like, well, then figure out how to talk about sports. So I started carrying this little Pelican around with me that had microphones in it. And I would go like everywhere we were, I would bank interviews. I was just trying to meet people. And so like when we did shows with Fall Out Boy, I'd be like, hey, you want to come on my pod? And this is back like in 2012, 2013, like podcast didn't exist yet. So when my pod started to get picked up, like CBS Sports was the first people that bought my pod. And even they were like, we don't really know how to market these. Like, what do we do with podcasts? Like it was so such a baby in the game. But I kept saying, I was like, no, my goal was to use my passion and the voice of the fan to get me to ESPN. From day one, that was my goal. And so I just started, I'm lucky. I started meeting people and grinding. And, eventually a buddy that now a dear friend heard my podcast and he worked at ESPN and I didn't know anything about him, but he said, hey, can I give you notes? And I said, yeah. And he gave me 3 pages of typed notes. I took every single note and I wrote it out. And that week, as I edited my pod, I took every note. So I called him a week later and said, listen to this week's pod. And he called me back and said, man, I've never had anybody take every single note. He said, I want to start introducing you to people. And so, that was the thing. Like, being a classical musician growing up, you don't get told things twice. You do it once. I'd given my whole life to playing the violin and eventually playing the fiddle. Like that had been my entire life. But I figured if I attack sports as vigorously it would serve me, and it did. So in 2016, I got asked to do a college football show, and so I quit the band with no idea if I could pay my bills. It was a usage deal at ESPN. They could fire me after one show if it sucked, but I was like, hey, if I don't bet on me, nobody ever will. So I took that plunge, and I played the Alaska State Fair with the band, and 2 days later, I was in Charlotte with Mike Golick Jr. and Elika Sadeghi. We were on a college football show. Lucky enough, it hit, and so that was the beginning of sort of the change in my life.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's when I first got introduced to you on Mike and Mike in the Morning. You guys were filling in for Golick and Greeny.
Yep,
and it was you and Mike Golick Jr. And I'm not just saying this because you're on the show. I really enjoyed the show more when you guys were filling in for them. I love the banter back and forth. And plus, for me, having an actual Raider fan that was actually going to go on national radio and talk Raiders, that was like church to me because I'm in the New York, New Jersey area. And I always got to hear about the Jets and the Giants, and having a guy that was a real Raider guy talking about the Raiders coherently was huge for me, man.
No, thanks. And I remember that first show that Mike and I did filling in. I got off social media right after it for like 2 days because every tweet was, this guy's the worst. He sucks. He's killing ESPN. This is why ESPN's dying. Now, I tell that part of the story because a year later we filled in again, and we'd done a bunch of fill-ins at that point. A year later, same to the day, it was July 30, a year later, we filled in, and all the tweets were like, why aren't these guys together every day? This is the future of the company. So like, it's funny how, in the beginning, people really resisted it, but I think I just leaned into like, hey, my voice is going to be different. And the one thing that, like, I give ESPN so much credit, there was never a single time that they came in and said, hey, throttle it back on your fandom. They were like, nope, let your Raiders flag fly. And that was so, like, that's why I sometimes when people say, well, ESPN's anti-Raiders, no, like, I can tell you from inside the building, they understand the ratings that the Raiders bring with them. Yes. ESPN wants the Raiders to be great. The NFL wants the Raiders to be great. Like, we don't always feel that. And I walked in with the chip on my shoulder being like, oh, mainstream media is going to shut this down because they hate the Raiders. And then I found out over and over and over again, no, mainstream media is sitting here saying, please, God. Like the one NFL exec told me years ago that the Raiders are like printing money. When they're good, everybody flocks to it. They love making money. So I was lucky ESPN let me really be myself, which has carried me all the way to Yahoo now.
And that's great. Remember, Wace, we were talking about that yesterday about Jason bringing the Raiders kind of to ESPN and then Nick Wright doing the Chiefs thing. So like, it's okay to be a fan now and kind of be low-key biased because people know you're a Raider fan. So it's okay to like, and I think that most people, like you said, Jason, like, most people know that the NFL is better when the Raiders are good. When we're good, it's better. But then when we're down, you get a lot of ratings by kicking us while we're down. And we're coming off of a nasty loss last night to the Dallas Cowboys. Monday Night Football, back-to-back primetime games. Denver, which was abysmal offensively. The defense did their thing. We lose a very close game to the Denver Broncos. We have some extended time off. We're thinking, okay, maybe we can figure this thing out going into back home in Allegiant Stadium, which I heard it was 70-30, 80-20.
I heard 80-20. 80-20.
Yeah, it was we were supposed to be there. We chose to stay at home this go round, but we ended up going out there and getting embarrassed, Jason. Like, what is going on with this football team in your eyes? I mean, we were all excited about Pete Carroll coming in because of his extensive resume. He has won national championship at USC. He's won a Super Bowl at the NFL level. We're thinking we got a guy that can turn this thing around. Now we're sitting here week 10, 2-8, questioning what is going on. What in your eyes, what is the situation here going on in Vegas?
Now, I think everything has gone wrong. And I do genuinely mean that. And I'm with everybody. Like this summer, when I was asked my expectation for the team, I kept saying, look, I think it's a 7-win team this year, but it's a 7-win team where by the end of the year, you're like, no, they got it together. There's, as I kept saying, there are adults in the room. This thing has turned the right direction. I feel like the roster, if we were being honest, needed an infusion of talent coming into the season, but I thought Pete could make some things a little bit better and it could buy time. So I was thinking the 7-win season at the end of the year where you're like, yeah, we have got the building blocks for the future. And it's all gone wrong. And now, because there's so many whys here, like I would say, if we're being honest, again, last night, left to right, the worst starting 5 offensive line I've ever seen this Raiders team field.
And that's saying a lot. That's saying a lot.
You're right. And we're talking, part of that's injury. Colton Miller being out is part of that. Part of that is nobody outside the building understands what the hell they were doing with JPJ anyway. Like, none of us. So then all of a sudden now JPJ's out and the whole line looks terrible. And then, as usual, and I always go back to the fat guys I know that played. And I've got like my mini committee of fat guys. And one thing that one of my buddies said years ago that I always remember is that the hardest thing about losing one offensive lineman is if you start to shift offensive linemen everywhere, what you're doing is you're weakening every chain in a chain link fence. So the minute, like, look at the Chargers. The minute the Chargers had to move Joe Alt from one side to the other, then he got hurt. They started to injure themselves, or they started to weaken themselves. Now you got Meredith moving over to guard and a center coming in that, like, none of us had any expectation would even be active in this game. So you've weakened your center position, and I don't think you've helped your guard position. So you got the worst starting 5 offensive line you could possibly have with a quarterback that, when he's feeling this pressure, just isn't seeing the field really well. He's not comfortable in the offense. He's not comfortable with Chip Kelly. And then you got Chip Kelly, who knows he can't run the football because the offensive line is garbage in front of him. So you can't run the football, but you also can't always throw the football. So, like, I think when you look at it, every single piece of this thing has gone to worst case scenario. And that's just, I'm just being real. Like, it's suffocating. The lack of talent, the lack of coaching, the lack of execution, all the way top to bottom, it is suffocating.
So, Jason, it's funny, man, because I want to bring back to a few weeks ago, right? And you were one of the first people, you know, that have been kind of championing this, and we agree with the sentiment. We did as well. You know, you said that, you know, you don't think that Pete Carroll is going to be here for a long time, right? Because of the fact that he's not on the same timeline as his team, right? You know, this is a 74-year-old coach. This is a guy who we're looking to try to rebuild this, and he's not going to be here for the next 10 years. And now, if you see exactly what's been going on based off of what happened yesterday, based off of, you know, the way that he's using these rookies and everything that we've kind of lined up, man, I mean, what do you think about Pete Carroll sticking around after this season? Because I don't think there's any way you can bring him back after this.
Yeah, well, the hard part about all of this is now your timelines definitely don't match, right? And this was my point in the beginning. This isn't about Pete necessarily, although this does bring into question why you hired an older coach when you knew you were probably in this position. I talked to Yahoo for Yahoo Sports Daily. I talked to Raheem Mostert after week 1. And one thing he said flat out, he's like, I've never been on a team that genuinely believed they could rebuild and win at the same time. We're trying to do something that's never been built. That's from a guy that's in the locker room, right? So I think what we learned right there, boom, mistake. That was a mistake. You couldn't do this. So now you have to worry about timelines, because what's coming next? And this is where I'll apply my analyst hat for the rest of the league for a second. What kills young quarterbacks across the board is having a dead man walking coach with a rookie quarterback, and you know that they're going to get a different system in year 2. We see this over at Caleb Williams. Wasted a year at Caleb Williams with Eberflus when we all knew Eberflus wasn't going to be there for the long haul. Then they got to get a new coach, right? What was Jackson Dart? You wasted a year at Jackson Dart. I lived in Nashville for over 20 years. I got friends that cover the Titans. They are destroying Cam Ward in front of my very eyes. So, like, everybody that right now is saying, oh my God, we need a quarterback. I don't disagree with that. We need a long-term answer at the position. You also need a coach that's coming in from day one that's on the same timeline. Otherwise, what we're going to do, let's say you get lucky and you draft Fernando Mendoza, and it looks like Fernando's the answer. Okay. Do we really believe that this is going to be the offense and the head coach that he has for the next 4 or 5 years? That's what you got to have. So, like, I go back to what the 49ers did when they were really bad and they couldn't figure it out. They hired John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan the same day to 6-year deals, which at the time was unprecedented. What they were telling them is like, we're going to give you time. I just don't think I can make the timelines match up. So Pete Carroll being around for 1 year of a new quarterback isn't going to make any sense. I just can't figure out how Pete Carroll really hands this thing off to everybody in a better situation. So now you're just looking at it and saying, sorry. And y'all, I looked this up. You guys would appreciate this as lifelong fans. Since 1995, when the Raiders moved back to Oakland, since 1995, 11 times, not including Pete Carroll, 11 times a coach has not made it to a third season. 11 times. So, like, do any of us really believe Pete's going to make it to a third season? No. And if the answer to that is no, why are we giving him a second? Like, at this point, I'm sorry. We screwed it up. Blow it up. Keep trying. You keep trying until you get it right.
Do you think this is a thing where it was clear cut that Brady and Spytek, their number one option was Ben Johnson? All the rumors were circulating that he was the guy that they wanted, and somehow, some way, Tom talked him into coming in for an interview. He ends up leaving and going to a better situation where he has a young quarterback that he can develop, right? And again, the Cliff Kingsbury effect. The reason why he left was, why would I be here with the quarterback situation that they're putting in place? It's going to be Gardner Minshew, Aiden O'Connell. Let me go out here and coach Jaden Daniels and build my reputation back up a little bit. Do you think that Pete kind of feels a little bit of that, Jason? Like, I was the second option here, and I'm going to run this how I run it? Because a report came out today that, and this is clear cut as Raider fans, we should be able to see this. The front office and the coaching staff are not on the same page at all. The plan from jump with Spytek and those guys were play the UDFAs, play the young guys. Let's see what they got. And Pete is like, no, we're going to win now. And now I question his evaluation mode, because I'm thinking, if you think you can win with what we have now, maybe the game has passed you up a little bit. Like, what is your take on the whole Pete Carroll being the second option and kind of being stuck in his ways, so to speak?
Yeah, I think, realistically, even with him being the second option, this result is stunningly bad.
Yes.
I think it puts an entire black eye on Pete Carroll. I genuinely believe that.
Yeah.
That being said, years ago, Steve Corcoran, remember, used to cover the Raiders all the time.
Yep.
Cork told me years ago, and it's always been stuck in my head. When organizations go into save themselves mode, everything is lost. When I saw that report today, the very first thing I thought is, now you got agents and you got people reaching out to insiders that are getting out that information ahead of it, because they want to make sure. Spytek's team wants to make sure that everybody knows it's not Spytek, it's Pete. And now we're going to start to see Pete's team start to say, hey, it's not, it's not me.
Yeah.
It's John. Like, these are the moments that you start to see the fractures, right? And we're going to find out who actually has the power. And look, let's go all the way back to the first press conference. When we couldn't get a straight answer on who was in charge of things, like, it's never kumbaya. Like, nobody's sitting by the campfire saying, like, at the end of the day, you guys know this, you got two guys on a show. There are going to be times when you got two guys on a show that you just don't agree on things, right?
Yeah.
There has to be a way you figure that out. The fact that Pete and John Spytek couldn't give us a straight answer on how they would deal with 1v1 conflict, to me, said everything about what was wrong from the beginning. So now I think you've got a front office and Tom Brady that are both using their connections to make sure, hey, look, we wanted to draft young guys, play young guys, and just start this rebuild. The coaches aren't doing it. It's save yourself mode.
Yeah. I mean, you could clearly see that when they were asked a few weeks ago, who has final cut?
Yeah.
Pete Carroll spoke for John Spytek. He wouldn't even let him answer the question. He said, well, we're gonna figure this thing out together. To me, that is part and parcel the reason. There are a lot of people who criticize the owner. They criticize his organization all the time. And I want to get your thoughts on this. I think the biggest reason that the Raiders are in the problem that they're in, and I'm not going to blame Mark, because I think that Mark Davis has done a great job with, turning this franchise around from a financial standpoint. When we were growing up, when there were big free agents out there, the Raiders didn't have the money. Nobody wanted to come here. They had the crappiest stadium. We California, the state taxes. We knew that Al Davis had to wait until the TV money came in to even make the roster payment. So we knew we weren't in the market to get big free agents. So from a financial standpoint, I give Mark a ton of credit.
Definitely.
Right? But I think the biggest mistake he's made, and I want your thoughts on this, is the fact that he has never, besides the time when we had Reggie McKenzie, given the GM full autonomy over the roster. And I think we're seeing that right now.
Agreed.
And part of the way I read it when Spytek was hired was that, like, okay, he didn't want a first-time GM and a first-time head coach again. So he wants an experienced head coach. And I think if we could inject truth serum in everyone's brain and veins, the concept was going to be, okay, let's let Carroll teach John a little bit. And then when Pete steps away, John is going to have these like core tenets instilled in how he runs a franchise from Pete, and he can continue the ball rolling. Like, that's how I made the math make sense over the summer. I think you're right, though. Like, there is a part of me. Let's look at James Dolan, for the owner of the New York Knicks. When James Dolan couldn't get okay, so you know this better than anybody. Yeah, when James Dolan just couldn't get it right, at one point he was like, "I'll just throw gross money at Phil Jackson," even though Phil Jackson had no interest in the gig. Phil's like, I'm not going to turn down gross money. It didn't fix the Knicks. And I do think that there's an element. Look at the process, because I agree with you. Mark Davis has done a really nice job on a business standpoint. He's done a really nice job on the brand of the Raiders, on the finances. And I think his intent has been really right every time.
Yeah,
but look at what we've done every time. He fired Jack Del Rio to bring in John Gruden because that was a big, sexy name, and he wanted that feather in his cap. I got Gruden. All right, then Gruden's let go. Well, now we got to hire a coach. Okay, I'm going to go out Josh McDaniels. Everybody wants Josh McDaniels. He's the hot name. Let's go get Josh McDaniels. That we all saw how that worked, right? Yeah. And then Antonio Pierce, who's just impressive. Like, AP is one of those guys, like, you spend 5 minutes in a room, you understand why he wins the interview.
For sure.
Like, AP's got a thing. And so, like, I just feel like there's a portion with his coaching hires that it's been about name or status or vibe. It hasn't been about, like, hey, like, Dan Campbell was one of the worst introductory press conferences we've ever seen.
Yep.
But the Ford family, and he started his second year 0-8. And the Ford family was like, no, we know we got our guy. Like, do we believe that Mark has gone through the process that way? I don't think so. So I think one of his fails, you're right. He needs to give autonomy to a GM and let an organization run with the proper structure. But he also just needs to stop chasing. I'm trying to say it family friendly, like
chasing the big
stars.
fish.
Yeah, like there's certain girls that only want to sleep with stars. Sometimes I feel like that's what's happening here. Like, it's just like, oh, here's a star. That's not how you grow this thing. That is just not how. Like, the Jags feel pretty good with Liam Cohen. That's the first coach they've hired in a long time that wasn't a star. They went out and hired a noted coach, not a noted name. And I think at some point Mark's got to decide to do that.
I agree with you. In your eyes, you know, what is going on with the offense? We bring in Chip Kelly. He's the highest paid OC in football. You know, he's kind of like the new shiny toy coming over from Ohio State, coming off of a national championship. They had a ton of talent out there on both sides of the football. You know, these guys lure him back into the NFL and make him the highest paid guy. And the offense has just not been able to get rolling. 15.4 points per game. Last night we put up a 16 burger, I believe, on the Dallas Cowboys, one of the worst defenses in football. And I know they got Quentin Williams back. I know they got Siobhan Revel and Overshown, and they were very emotional because of the Marshawn Nealon situation. I totally get it, but their defense looked very capable yesterday against this really bad offense. But Ashton Jeanty, you take him at 6. You know, we're looking at him as potentially the next beast mode in Pete Carroll's new system, and you give him the rock 6 times, Jason. What is the problem outside of the O-line? I mean, a lot of that does lie on that on in the trenches on the offensive side of the ball. But, like, are we like low key cooking Ashton Jeanty right now? Are we kind of destroying, because he's a young kid, man, and you don't want to destroy his psyche as a young kid. 6 carries. I mean, that's insanity to me. Like, to me, in my eyes, you run the football and you just continue to run the football until it works. He's that good. He's like that kind of Derrick Henry where he only gets better with more reps. When you give him 20 plus, you can see what he can do. He's a home run hitter when it comes to running the football, but we're not getting him the opportunity to do so. What's your take on the offense and with Ashton Jeanty's production? Did we make a mistake taking him at 6 over the likes of a Mimbu?
I mean, look, if we're going to go back to mistakes, that realistically, if the Raiders over the last 2 drafts had focused their first round picks on success at the offensive line, they'd be a much better football team. Yeah. That being said, I love Brock Bowers and I still love what Ashton Jeanty can be. So I think you got to figure, like, when the offensive line figures itself out. I will remind everybody, remember when Saquon was with the Giants? Yes. And it just looked like Saquon had lost a little bit. And then all of a sudden he goes over to Philly, and then boom, he has a transcendent MVP caliber year, right? Like, all of a sudden things blow up. And then this year for Philly, Saquon looks kind of human again, right? Like, so the line is such a huge part of the running back production. But I also think, like, I want my coaches to be like the TV show Chopped, right? Like, you open up a basket of ingredients and you're like, all right, I got Spam and pineapple, but I'm about to make you the most incredible thing you've ever eaten. And I think what's happened, that's what I think great coaches can do. Sean McVay does that. It doesn't matter. No, it doesn't matter what ingredients he gets. He's like, no, I know you're undersized and you're a little slow, but I've got a thing I think we can do for you at the right. Like, that's what McVay's great at. Yes. I thought Chip Kelly would be really good at that. And I think if there's anything that's been his biggest problem is he's been wildly stubborn as a play caller. Like, I feel like I'm watching somebody that I don't even like play Madden against. Like, some of these things, like, I've seen this route 3 times and it's not working. But then, like, look yesterday, the little play action rollout was working because it gave Geno more time. And Geno was getting the opportunity for 8, 10, 12-yard little out opportunities from the guys. Like, that was working. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, I know that worked, but now we're just going to leave him in the pocket to get murdered. Like, I don't understand why he's belligerent about things that aren't working. And then he gets away from things that are working. And then to your point, with the run never being established, there's just no rhythm. I mean, think about it. The game we talked about a couple of weeks ago where the Raiders ran 30 plays. How do you have a professional offense? How do you have a $6 million offensive coordinator that runs 30 plays? Like, I get that the talent isn't good enough, but man, neither is the coaching. Chip deserves all of the grief that he's getting right now, I think, for the way he's called games.
For sure.
Well, let me ask you a question, man, because Chip deserves that, right? In a sense. But we got to ask ourselves something. Who has autonomy over the blocking scheme, the roster, some of these guys that have been brought in? I think it all falls at the foot of Pete Carroll, right? His son is the offensive line coach, the run game coordinator. They're the ones who brought these players in here. You know, I'm pretty sure that Chip Kelly didn't sign off on Stone Forsythe being a backup, right? And then now we're in a situation where I think there's a lack of credibility with Pete Carroll, because what is happening is he is going to the podium every night. And last night he said the defense couldn't get off the field. And it's like, no, this offensive line can't block anybody. You have a quarterback that you haven't held accountable one time this year for throwing game-crushing, drive-crushing, soul-crushing interceptions. I mean, do you think there's any way? Because look, for me, I've seen Dick Vermeil be 4-12, and then go to the Super Bowl. We've seen this kind of stuff happen before. Do you think there's any way that this man can come back next year and have any mark of credibility, because he's not holding Geno accountable?
And Jason, on top of that, look, I'm going to add to that real quick. We have a lot of the young guys come on this show that frequent. We have Dylan Lowby, a good friend of our of the show, Dante Thornton. They love Pete Carroll. We just had DJ Glaze on the other day. They love Pete Carroll. They love the energy. It's clear cut that he has not lost that locker room just yet. But the veterans may feel a little bit differently, because this is all the rooks know at this point. The rooks, bless you. We're looking at Maxx. We're looking at Adam Butler. Adam Butler's getting a little bit more feisty in those media situations. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to add that, because the rooks are still, they love Pete Carroll. They think the energy's infectious, and he sets the tone out there.
Well, and that's what Pete's main job to the players is, right? Is to set the tone. And that's part of his culture. And that's what Pete does well.
Yeah.
But I would ask this I always have to preface this. I never root for anybody to get fired. This team had the time during the bye week to change special teams coordinators, but did not have the time during the bye week to re-examine the offensive line coaching.
Yes.
And I know that that's Pete's kid, right? Yeah. Like, we all know that, right?
That's a problem.
At some point, when you build your culture on the concept of competition, and we're going to compete at everything, then that means you have to hold everybody in the building to that same accountability. And I think, players love the energy and they love the way he approaches it. I think that's important. Players also loved Antonio Pierce, right? Like, I get it. Like, but at some point in a results business, it's all about competition. Like, I've actually excused, as opposed to a lot of people that are really angry that the young guys aren't getting on the field, I've excused it to a certain extent, because I think if you're Pete Carroll and you're giving Maxx the same pitch of we compete every day. Well, if Maxx takes these offensive linemen on, or sees these offensive linemen in practice and clearly sees that the rookies aren't ready to play, and then you go to Maxx and say, well, we got to play him because we want to get him, game reps. Well, you've just lost all credibility for competition. So I've tried to give some level of grace to the decisions they've made on who's active and who's inactive because of the concept of competition. Who's holding accountability to any of these coaches for the schemes, for the concepts, for the way it's being run? Who's holding Chip Kelly accountable? I don't know. Do we genuinely believe that if Chip Kelly was the offensive coordinator of the Detroit Lions today under Dan Campbell, that Dan Campbell wouldn't have taken play calling duty away? I don't. I think it's been so bad that most coaches would have stepped in and said, I'm not going to let that happen. And I know that's not Pete's background. Like, he's not an offensive coach as a background, but still, accountability is accountability. So I love that the players love him. It's just the coaches, to the point, aren't being held accountable enough.
What's your take on the Caleb Rogers situation? He was all ready to go. He was in the media saying, looks as though I'm going to start. He's kind of alluding to that. Then we hear they had a bad day at practice and he's inactive. This is a guy that you spent a 3rd round pick on, including Charles Grant, a guy who has been active and not seeing the football field after this O-line looks like it can't get any worse. The thought process behind kind of building Caleb Rogers up and then throwing the report out there that he looked really bad at practice. Like, doesn't that kind of change your thought process about who's responsible for this thing? Because it's like, he's a rook. He doesn't know any better. He was excited. He was saying all the right things, and then boom, he's inactive.
I feel like these are the moments where Pete has to realize what modern NFL coverage looks like. Like, come on. I'm old enough to remember when I had to call the George Michael sports machine to find out what the score was on the Raiders, right? Like, when we were waiting on the 10-minute ticker on NBC to tell us who was ahead. Like, had no idea if it wasn't like, I'm old enough to remember what it was like not to have an NFL Sunday ticket because it didn't exist yet, right? Like, I say that because sometimes I feel like that's how older coaches approach the game. Like, when most of us were kids, we didn't even know what team had what GM. Like, that wasn't something actively covered. I think what Pete has to acknowledge at this point is that the reason he's getting asked question after question after question about the offensive line is because it is part of the conversation happening from fans, and it is part of the conversation happening in media. And sticking your head in the sand doesn't make the questions go away. Like, I would respect the entire process a hell of a lot more if Pete came to the podium and said, hey, I know you guys wanted him to play. Here's why he didn't play. Here's what our long-term plan is here. And this is what we're trying to build him up to do. These are the things we haven't seen. Like, give us real answers. Like, by staying vague with everything, all he's doing is losing trust. And as they say all the time, trust is gained in drops and it's lost in buckets. The result has made it lost in buckets this season. So now, I'm sorry, like, if you're 8-2 and you're the Philadelphia Eagles, you don't have to answer questions about why your offense isn't doing what it needs to do. Like, people will fault A.J. Brown for even talking about it, right? When you're 2-8, you got to answer those questions. It's just a different scenario.
Yeah. I mean, so now here we are in kind of no man's land, right? This season for us as Raider fans, because, it's amazing how much the way we looked at this aligns. We had the Raiders winning, on the low end, 7 games, at the high end, maybe going 9-10, right? Just being super optimistic. Hasn't gone that way. This hire was to get the organization back to a level of respectability. And now we're below that, right? So at this point, Jason, what do you see as the exact blueprint to turn this thing around next season? Because it doesn't look like it's going to get any better this season.
No.
The hardest part about what we've seen this year isn't even the losses. The hardest part is that a lot of the talent has regressed.
Yes.
And so now, like, I had a former GM in the NFL a couple of years tell me that a home run, Hall of Fame level offseason for a GM would be replacing 5 players with high-level starters. That's considered Hall of Fame, right? So now ask this really difficult question. How many players on this Raiders roster would start for any of the playoff caliber football teams? Of our starting 22, I think we can all agree that Maxx and Brock, we want to see if Ashton can grow into it. Like, so maybe I'll give you 3. I'll give you a third one. I think Butler's had some nice moments, so maybe we can make the argument that Butler might be rotational. I say that to say that if we want to be generous, this team needs 18 new starters. 18 to be competitive with the Kansas City Chiefs, the Denver Broncos, and the LA Chargers. They need 18 new starters. I'm not even talking about depth. When you start talking about that, I think that this is why I said on Raider Nation Radio earlier today, I said sometimes the hardest thing to do in life is look in a mirror and say, I'm fat. I let myself get fat. And when you do that, you just got to one day at a time, I'm going to eat less and it's going to suck and I'm going to go to the gym. I think that's what the Raiders have to do. I know everybody wants Fernando Mendoza. I know we all want the hope of quarterback. I want the hope of quarterback because if they take a quarterback, great. I'll buy the jersey and I'll just scream from the mountaintops. Yeah. I would also argue that unless last night's quarterback was Moses that could part the Red Sea, I don't think that we were going to get anything done with that offensive line. So I think this is a team that aggressively with what the second or third most cap space. I don't have it in front of me, but second or third most cap. Number one priority, the number one thing I'm fixing, I need 4 new offensive linemen. Yeah. I mean, I'm just coming to maybe 3. If we believe that this coaching staff will ever give JPJ a shot, I still think Colton's got enough in the tank if he can stay healthy. But I need at least 3 high quality. I need 3 offensive linemen to actually hit the open market that are worth a damn. That's asking for a home run, y'all. Like I don't know. And as much as we're all desperate for, hey, let's go get a quarterback, it'll fix everything. Just a reminder, Jaden Daniels fixed everything. And then all of a sudden we found out when Jaden's not superhuman, the Commanders suck again because they didn't like Jaden Daniels is Ozempic in this analogy, right? Like he made you feel better and you lost a bunch of weight. Like we're competitive. Yeah. And then it went off the rails with Jaden and we're like, no, we suck again. Right. I'm trying to avoid Ozempic. I think that what has to happen, like if I was Mark Davis, I don't know if he believes in John Spytek. I hope he does because I don't want a full reset. But if he believes in Brady and Spytek to run this thing, then you need to go in and you need to find a young coordinator that can come in. If you're drafting a quarterback, you need a young coordinator that can come in and be a head coach that absolutely adores that quarterback, that absolutely like would bet his ability to feed his family on that quarterback. And so like you tell me we're hiring Clint Kubiak, for example, great. We're hiring Clint Kubiak, but he comes in and saying, I believe that Fernando Mendoza can be better than Mahomes. Okay, then cool. That's the direction we're going. But I would implore everybody, even if they do that, this team needs an entire new offensive line. I think this team, I think the next year's number one receiver was at Allegiant Monday night. He was just playing for the Cowboys. I think Pickens is a Raider next year. I think they make him a massive offer.
I said it. I'm telling you now, Pickens is going to be a Raider. He has the mentality, and he's a wide receiver one.
Have we not learned after all these years?
Jason, you are the truth, brother.
Listen, after all these years, let's go back to Javon Walker. yo, let's go back.
That's a pull.
To Randy, to Devontae,
AB, this goes
Antonio Clown. I don't want any more free agent wide receivers. I'm sorry, not until we have a quarterback in place, bro.
Pickens played with Brock. They won a national championship together in Georgia. I just want to throw that out.
No, I get that. But the thing is, if you go out and you pay this guy money, right, and he's not getting the ball, now he's leaving a situation where he's playing with Dak Prescott. Now, Dak Prescott isn't the best quarterback in the league, but he's definitely a top 10 quarterback. Dak Prescott can play. And you come here and you have Flotsam and Jetsam throwing him the ball, then he's not getting his touches and he's going to get upset and it becomes a malcontent. I don't want to see that anymore.
Well, that's why I say you Pickens
the quarterback first.
And get Tyler Linderbaum, two-time Pro Bowler, starting center. If you want a real center and you think JPJ's not that, he's a guard, then you go pay Tyler Linderbaum. You do the Rodney Hudson thing. You think that, okay, I can bring in a guy that can be that dude for the next 10 years in a Raiders jersey. And it looks like Baltimore is kind of playing cat and mouse with him right now in terms of a new contract. That may be the answer right there on that O-line. And then you can go get some young guys in the draft and hope that Caleb and Charles Grant develops as well.
I don't disagree with you, by the way, that bringing in a number one wide receiver ain't going to fix anything. Like, if we're being clear, it is not going to fix anything. I think what'll be interesting is we're going to find out quick this offseason on the opening day of free agency. We're going to find out what this real plan is. If they go out and they're not super aggressive, they just bring in pieces like they've done before, the Reggie McKenzie. We're going to do one-year deals, maybe 1-and-1 deals. They're all going to be moderate deals. We're just going to make sure we got a roster that can play. Then what that tells us is that the Raiders are finally committing to a long-term rebuild. I will remind everybody, when the Chiefs won their first Super Bowl, this was Field Yates put this stat out. When the Chiefs won their first Super Bowl, every single first, second, and third round pick that they had made for 5 consecutive years was on that roster and active. What does that tell you? If you want to build the Chiefs, if you want to build great, sustainable franchises, you got to hit on every first, second, and third round pick for 5 straight years. So I think the better, honestly, I think the better approach is just, hey, we need talent everywhere. We're just going to come out, be honest. Hey, we are starting a massive rebuild, and it's going to take a couple of years. And if it's going to take a couple of years, if the right quarterback is there and you love him, take him. If he's not there, then
get a blue chip like Caleb Downs or Reese. Bring them in the best player available and build on that.
Give me stars. Give me give me future stars that I can build around for my franchise so that we can turn this in. Because I think, being generous, guys, I think it's at the best, it's a 3-year turnaround. So I don't care whether they get the quarterback in year 1 of it or year 2 of it. I think they got to get the quarterback eventually. Yeah. I just think you can't miss on a first, second, or third round pick ever again if you actually want to be good.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question. With that being said, there are a lot of people that feel like moving on from Maxx at this point would make some kind of sense, right? Now, Maxx Crosby is, not 30 years old. Yeah, he will be soon, right? He is, our most bankable player. He is the heart and soul of this team. Is there any metric where you would feel like that would be the right thing to do?
Yeah, I mean, so let me start by saying I'm 2 feet away from a signed Maxx jersey. Max and I got tattoos together in Vegas when I was with ESPN, and what my favorite interview I've ever done. And we're very close. Yeah. So I just want to qualify this that I'm not reporting anything. We're close. And every time I've ever talked about Max about leaving, he always laughs and he's like, man, I love this place. Like I honestly think the only way that Max would ever want to leave the Raiders is if the Raiders sat down with Max and said, here's why having you go somewhere else will actually help this franchise for the future. And then because he actually loves the franchise, I could see him doing it. But we literally laughed last week about the fact that every few months Max is getting traded, and every few months he gets a new coach in his ear. And I asked him, I'm like, how do you even take these guys seriously? He's like, you don't really have a choice, right? So to your question, here's what I want for Maxx Crosby. I think Maxx Crosby is going to end up being one of the greatest homegrown Raiders we've ever seen play for the franchise. He is going to wear a gold jacket, and I hope I get to be one of his plus 3,050 that he's bringing to that ceremony, right? Like, I think he's a Hall of Famer, and he's going to have that opportunity. I want my guy to win. I want him to win. I don't want him to suffer here, and then we're finally good when he's 35, and all he can do is like stand on the sidelines to watch it. So, yes, if it's a 3-year rebuild, and you tell me that sacrificing Max is part of that, I think if they handled it the right way, it would make a lot of sense. It truly would make a lot of sense.
Max has told us personally a million times too, he wants to go nowhere. He wants to remain a Raider. But again, if he gets to a point down the line where you can send him to Detroit, a place where, he's born at, or a Dallas Cowboys, if they can figure this thing out and get it together, at some point, I feel like Max's competitive edge is going to be like, I need to go somewhere and win. Regardless, like it means that much, because you know him personally. When you see Max, it's competition. He's just on top of it. So I want the best.
Man, we can't live through Khalil Mack and Max at the same. I'm just being honest. That is such a blow for all of us as fans. The thought of turning on the game and seeing Max win it would make my heart happy. But like the thought of watching and be like, oh, now what? Now what? Like Tyree Wilson. Right? I mean, that's all I got to say. It's just Tyree Wilson. It's like, okay, now what? Like, you got one of the greatest defensive players of his generation on the opposite end of you, and you can't even. I'm not even asking for you to get sacks. I'm just asking you for being a little heat, just a little heat. I just turn the ball, like just a little heat. Can't do it. I mean, it is wild to me that Tyree Wilson and even Malcolm Kuntz, I know, coming off injury. My God, how like. If you want to tell me,
Carter was right there, Jason. He was right there.
But I'll tell you the God's honest truth. Like, this is just three buddies talking. I had to prepare. The only time ESPN has ever made me write out word for word what I would say in my entire career at ESPN, which was over 6 years. I covered every NFL draft while I worked there digitally. The Jalen Carter draft, I had to pre-submit to the bosses how we would handle it if Jalen Carter was drafted by the Raiders, specifically because of the Ruggs incident.
The Ruggs,
and that's the thing that, like, every time we look back and we say, oh my God, and we even as part of my write-up, it was basically saying one man's sin is not another man's sin, and we don't need to stack these things. But I had to get it pre-approved by management at ESPN because it was such a prickly conversation to even think that Jalen Carter could be drafted after Henry Ruggs was drafted by the same organization. So it sucks, but that was real.
But see, that's part and parcel of the spirit of the Raiders kind of not being what it was, right? Because you got to do what's right instead of what's popular. And had that been Al would have drafted Jalen Carter in a heartbeat. He would have done it in a heartbeat. And look, towards the end, when Al started getting old, he made some bad decisions as well. But when we're talking about when we were great, Al Davis always went against the grain. And that's what I expected for Mark to do with this. And it bothered me that he didn't, because it was the right move. So then you don't draft Jalen Carter, and then a year or two later, you go out and get Christian Wilkins, and you think all is well with the world. And then that blows up in our face. And it's like, I just, for me as a fan, right? let's take, us covering the team. Sometimes you got to do what's right and not what's popular. And I think that lately we've been trying to be media darlings as opposed to doing what's right.
I think that comes back to the whole concept of what Al always cared about was, were you great when you needed to be great? Like, could I rely on you to be great? And I think what we love about Maxx, for example, is that you can rely on Maxx to be great. What we loved about, for example, like, let's go back to the Rich Gannon era. Part of what made Rich Gannon so incredible to watch was like he lived, eat, and breathed everything of the standard is the standard. Every single play, he was ready to erupt if it wasn't great, right? And like, I think you go back to like key tenets, and you make a really strong point, because in my mind, what I've always said is, if you are worried about whether or not guys can handle Vegas, which I've heard through, grapevine over and over, it's like, well, we got to worry about, can guys handle Vegas? Yeah. My answer to that is, what are you doing to put an infrastructure in place that helps guys handle Vegas so that you don't have to worry about that anymore? Yeah. Like in today's world, you can't tell me that you can't draft somebody and say, okay, we're drafting you. Here are the expectations we have. Like, we've made a lot of jokes about Kyler Murray getting homework in his contract extension, which was real, right? Like, but I do think that, like, come on, for everybody that says you can't handle Vegas, Miami isn't. It's not like Miami's without temptation. As I said before, I lived in Nashville for over 20 years. You want to talk about a city with temptation? It's all over Nashville too. Yeah. Teams find systems and put them in place to help players. And if they don't believe that some guys can handle that, I would challenge, don't fault the guy. Look at it and say, man, what do we have to put in place so that we can make sure that the best players can always succeed here? Yeah.
And he went to a great situation with a bunch of former teammates, Georgia guys. Yeah. He went to a really good winning culture. I get it. Real quick, we all have over 1,000 people here in the building, man. Let everybody know where they can follow you, where they can check you out, Jason. We would love to be able to plug away with everything you got going on, brother.
Yeah. So I host Yahoo Sports Daily, which is out on, like, wherever you get your free TV. So, like, you've got Roku and, like, all those sorts of things. We're not supposed to say Roku. All of the brands, Tubi, all of them. From 9 to 11 a.m. Eastern time, Monday through Friday, I host Yahoo Sports Daily there. You can also get it on the Yahoo Sports app. We're all over that. I'm also all over our fantasy football coverage. It's there. And then I'm on Fox Sports Radio on the weekends, hanging out for fun on Saturdays. But I will say, like you mentioned, there's over 1,000 people there. Like, this is like the coolest thing to me from the beginning. Like, they talk about what Raider Nation really means. And every fan base has like, oh no, we're the nation. No, I think what's cool about this is that no matter how much we're like a family, we don't always agree on everything. And like, I know Raider Nation kills me in the summers when I'm not positive enough. And then they kill me in the falls when I'm not negative enough. And it's because I sort of stayed here the whole time. I love that. I love the fact that, even now, when I post stuff for Yahoo that's Raider related, we do a lot of Raider stuff because of my background. It always performs really well. And I've laughed with the Yahoo bosses and said, like, you don't understand. This is a group of people that just supports. And it's one of the coolest things about Raider Nation is that, like, that we don't have to, no discredit. Screw it. I can be discredit. Max Kellerman hasn't watched a Raiders game in my entire time I ever know of Max Kellerman. So every time Max said something about Derek Carr, I would laugh on all the phoners I do and be like, yeah, well, Max watched Red Zone and he saw 3 Derek Carr throws. Like, I think it's a beautiful thing that any of us that choose to cover this team, like, we actually know what the hell we're talking about. We care about it, can find that support. It's really a beautiful thing.
I agree, man. Salute to you. We're not going to hold you all night. 50 minutes already, man. We have to do this after the season again, if we could.
And boys, I'll come on with y'all anytime. Like, this has been a blast.
Talk about the draft. Let's talk about free agency, because the future is, as Raider fans, we're always looking forward to it, right?
Yeah. So, unfortunately, right?
Yeah. There's something to this, and I'm not smart enough to figure it out, but someday what we should do is get all the people that create great Raiders content in Vegas for one weekend. And we should just do a hang at one of the places, like, during the season. Just do like a Saturday hang where all of us come together and everybody can find everybody's work. Like, I'm in for this.
Don't tell us that. We will set this up. Let's go. We are the kings of doing that. We got some clubs, got some hotels. We will set that up ASAP. So,
I'm in for you, boys. Man, I really appreciate you even asking me to be here. So I appreciate it. This
you have been amazing, bro. We really appreciate you gracing us with your presence, man, and your knowledge. And I'm gonna be real, man. There are a lot of people who cover this team, right? Mm-hmm. And some people are fans of the team, and there are others who could just cover the team. But when you have a person who grew up and lives and dies with this and cares and really knows what they're talking about, that's a rare commodity. Yes. And we appreciate you coming on with us, man.
Now, I would do it anytime and twice on Sunday. So, like, let's just do it after a win. Let's do it after winning to see how weird we can rage.
We'll see you next year, Jay.
Yeah, see you 2026, buddy.
Hey, 2026, boys.
I got one question for you on the way out real quick. And the chat has a few. We'll run through real quick, I promise you. But I have to ask you this. There's another storyline on the loose come Sunday, right? We all know this. We're facing Shedeur Sanders, a guy that Tom Brady was really close with, and he didn't look too good yesterday, and rightfully so. He was thrown into an ugly situation against the Baltimore Ravens. He's going to start his first game at Allegiant Stadium, a team that I spoke to him at the Shrine Bowl. I've interviewed him several times, and he said he wanted to go to the Raiders. At one point, though, he was kind of crazy wasted. You know about the interview by him saying, you guys got to get rid of Maxx Crosby.
What you're going to do? You're going to trade for Maxx?
I'm like, well, we don't have to do that in order to bring you in, because I'm a Shedeur guy. I want Shedeur to succeed. I love that family dynamic. I love what they do first and foremost as a family. But wouldn't this be such the Raider thing, Jason, Sunday, come out and Shedeur just lights this defense up? Myles Garrett breaks the record with 7 or 8 sacks. I think it's eight away from breaking the single season sack record, which is Michael Strahan. Was it 22 and a half, I believe, something like that?
Yeah, 22, yeah.
Yeah, so what is your take on the whole Shedeur thing? And let's get a prediction out of you before this game.
Oh, man, we're all scarred. Whenever the Raiders take on a backup quarterback, we know it doesn't go well, right? Like, suddenly backup quarterbacks look like starters. It's just, we're a decade into this. Shedeur's got to process faster. He holds the ball too long. And if he holds the ball that long, he is going to be absolutely just hammered in the backfield. I think Maxx is going to get a couple of sacks in this game. The problem is we got to score points, and I don't know how you – like, this Browns defense might be the second best defense in the league right now. So, I mean, I was at the Minnesota game. What was it, last year, 2 years ago? The 3-0 game. I was at the 3-0 game. That feels like that's more points than we might get in this one. So, I think this is an ugly, ugly football. I just don't know how we score. If I had any confidence that we could score against the Browns defense, I think we could win this game. I just don't know how we score. So, unfortunately, but I think Shedeur's going to have an up and down game. I don't think the back end of our defense is necessarily equipped to take advantage of some of those throws that he's going to give us, but Maxx should have a big game, particularly because he's going to hold on to the ball too long.
I love it. And real quick, Jason says, big fan of Fitz. His rendition of the Autumn Wind is amazing.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. I think I'm going to record it in this offseason. Like, I've had some people ask me to do like a full-on record of it. So I'm going to do a full-on record of it and then go from there.
Now, this trip, I think I can kind of answer this for all of us. We don't really know if he whiffed yet because his draft class has not been able to be afforded the luxury of playing yet. I mean, Jack Bech, it seems like he's averaging 11.5 a catch. He's just not getting – he only has 8 catches, though. It seems like every time Bech catches the football, it's 19, it's 16, it's 20 yards, and then you just go away from him. And then Dante Thornton, our young guy, has struggled. You know, he has struggled, but they've gotten away from the deep ball. So and I think that Chip is kind of trying to keep Geno in pocket so he doesn't turn the football over a ton. But Tonka Hemingway has not been out there a ton. JJ Pegues has been inactive every week. Kayla Rogers, inactive every week. I mean, honestly, we can't say he whiffed just yet, Jason, right?
No, I think like everybody's got one buddy that can't grill. Like, he should never be allowed to handle the steaks. Here's what we don't know right now. Like, I don't know if Pete Carroll and this staff is that guy right now. Like, I 100%, I'm just being real. I don't know right now if they were handed great meat and then they just absolutely butchered it, or if it's the opposite. I don't know.
I love it.
Oh, please put raisins in the potato salad again.
That's when you leave. All right. When you see raisins in the potato salad, you're like, I'm just out. I'm gone.
I'm out of here, man. Mark says they need the Pete retire chance in Las Vegas. We're trash right now, but at least we have you guys putting out that top tier content. Mark, awesome. We appreciate you. Real quick, Jason, on the way out, man, anything you want the nation to know, man, or anything that you got going on, brother, for us to check out? Because we love to support our own. And I'm talking about if you have merchandise, if you have another album on the way that you're working on, let us know so we can make sure to check it out.
Just hit me on social media, on Twitter and Instagram. It's the same. It's just at Jason Fitz, FITZ. So just hit me out there. Like, there's just doing the thing. So I really appreciate everybody taking the time to hang out. Like, y'all do a good show. This is fun. Like, I really enjoy this.
Thank you, brother. And once again, you guys, make sure to go check out our guy. He is all over the place. You just Google his name, Jason Fitz. You'll see the extensive resume. He is doing great work, not only in the Raider realm, but just sports in general. So make sure to go check out our guy, Yahoo Sports. He does stuff at Fox. He's legend out here in these Raider streets, and we support you. Wasted, got anything for our brother on the way out?
Man, just thank you for gracing us with your presence, man. Appreciate it.
It's been a blessing, boys. Appreciate you.
All right, brother. Salute to our guy, Jason Fitz, as always. And we will have him on again, you guys, very soon. Really, really good dude, man. I'm excited to kind of form that relationship a little bit more as we move forward. Wasted, my brother, you want to take this one right here?
Yeah, this dude, Jason, is 1,000% legit. His takes are targeted in reality and careful analysis. One of the best guests I've seen in a while. Thank you as always, Graph and Wasted. Respect, Mr. Fitz, my guy. Hug Dizzle.
Hug Dizzle.
Man.
Yeah, man. Anything, we're coming up on an hour, Wasted. You know, we're going to hang out a little bit.
I'll tell you what, man. Last night,
oh,
yeah,
here it goes. Here it goes, baby. Here it goes.
This is the first time in my Raider fandom that they knocked the fire out of me. And it's sad. You know, like a part of me and a part of who I am as a person. People know me as a Raider fan damn near first.
Yeah.
Graph will tell you, I was at work today.
Oh, bro, everybody was coming up to you. I heard everybody, hey, let me holler at you real quick. You like, man, I'm going to talk this football shit. Boy, me and you were talking about the game.
Yeah, yo, we're talking about the Raiders, and everyone, all day, people were texting me all day saying, man, I'm sorry, man. I'm even some of the biggest shit talkers that I know personally were texting me saying that they're sorry. Bro, the one thing that I know, right? And the one thing that I see is that something major needs to change. Yeah. Now, I don't come on the air and I don't call for people's jobs. I don't do that. But whatever needs to change, whether it is
I do. Get rid of all of them.
Whether it's the structure, whether everyone loses their job, whatever, right? It has to be something that makes sense to the fan base, because you can't parade this same cast of characters out and think that we're going to buy in.
No.
Something's got to change, bro. I don't know what that is. I don't know if it's Pete getting different coaches on the staff, whether it's Pete not being here anymore, whether it's them firing Chip Kelly, whether it's, making Patrick Graham a scapegoat. I don't necessarily know what it is, but this is not it. Yeah. And you cannot continue to parade the same cast of characters out here, because what you guys have told us is that we didn't know better. They've told this fan base that, hey, we're moving Jackson Powers Johnson because we know better. That was wrong. Yeah. They went out there and they said, hey, Geno Smith isn't bad. He's a top 10 QB. You guys don't even know about it. A lot of those interceptions was because he was throwing at the end of the game to try to win the game.
And then you blocking me, man. What did I do, Geno?
That was wrong. Listen, Graph, if I could, I'd block you too. So that's the only thing Geno's gotten right the whole season, right? Hey, yo. David Ruffin blocking you, right?
What's going on here, man?
Then you go out there and you tell us, hey, man, these rookies aren't ready to play. I want to ride out with these veterans just for them to play shittier than a rookie would. Yeah. And you telling us that that's the right thing, and you're trying to convince us that they're not ready. So basically, if they're not ready, how fucking bad are these guys you drafted? Because this is the worst assortment of offensive line play I've seen pre-Arshell. This is terrible. So what are you telling me? The rookies are gonna come out here and just not block anybody?
Yo, Dante just hit me up. Salute Dante Thor, my guy. He commented on Geno blocking me. He said, "That's crazy."
Yo, man. Listen, bro.
No, hey, man, hey, man, it is what it is.
Look, it is what it is, man. And this is the thing. The one thing that I've seen throughout this, and the one thing that has made me kind of turn on the whole Pete Carroll experiment, is the fact that he has not yet once held Geno Smith accountable. And you to come out here and say that he played well is complete bullshit. And you can't piss on our head and tell us that it's raining, bro. This guy is not playing well, right? And at this point, if you're not willing to call him out on some level to us and tell us the freaking truth, then, man, I have no use for anything. I refuse to listen to another press conference from that guy.
Oh, bro.
I refuse.
Yeah, that's over. Yeah, Hug, he wrote me off, bro. But wait, there's more.
Is there?
Man, look, it is what it is. I'm used to it. Look, this is the thing. I love what Jason said, because in the offseason, as Raider fans, we're always optimistic, right? Some of us overly optimistic. I can't lie to you. Sometimes me and Wasted get in our bag and we're like, man, because you know why I think me and Wasted do that more than most? Because we're older and we want to see one on the way out. Like we just do, bro. I'm not saying we're on our way to being dead here in a minute.
Yeah, I mean, my God.
Yeah, I mean, I know, bro, right? I sound like Hammer, like you're dead. Like you're dead. Boys to Men, the guy with the diva, you're dead. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, golly, bro. Like, but I'm just saying, like, we're older, man. We want to see this team win one. I want to be able to look at my sons as they're still young enough to say, hey, man, look at that. Like, we won a championship. Like, all that stuff that we had to go through in order to get here.
Yeah.
I want to be able to, I want to share that with my kids, bro. I never had a chance to do that as a youngin'. You know what I'm saying? Like, but it's just, we lead with optimism and then we just talk about what we see. I've never tagged that man until today, until I found out that he had me blocked. I've never spoken to that man. I've never had a conversation. Yeah, I go online and I'll say what I want because, again, this is football. It's not deeper than football. I hope that Geno Smith, the man, and his family are great and they're good and they're forever solidified. That's it. But we're talking about football here. And again, you know, some people don't like it. I mean, man,
look, man, at the end of the day, we are not coming from a place of any animus or malice. But for you to think that we are going to come out here and keep telling you, oh, it's okay, it'll get better, when week after week after week, it doesn't, right? And you expect for us not to hold you accountable, but then you have the highest ticket prices in the league, right? You have the most loyal fan base in the damn league. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I can confidently say that is because it's the only team that has moved to 3 different cities in my lifetime and still has the same damn fan base.
Yeah.
They're taking advantage of that. Mm-hmm. And it's starting to make me upset. It's starting to make me upset. Yo, we moved from Los Angeles, Oakland to Los Angeles,
LA, back to
Oakland, now to Las Vegas. And
I remember them almost going to Sacramento. I remember almost them going,
Irwindale and all of this stuff.
Yeah.
Like, listen, we've been down since the 80s, bro.
Yes.
And yo, don't sit up here and tell me that my opinion is invalid or that I'm not a real fan or I'm somehow being some kind of jerk because I want excellence. Because, yo, you promised us that. It's a commitment to excellence, not mediocrity. And it's not a commitment to what the hell has been going on. Yo, for you not to call Geno Smith out and say, Geno, you got to play better or you got to sit, is a problem. And I understand that offensive line is bad, right? But guess what? Wait, there's more? Guess why? Guess why the offensive line is bad? Because you took an average offensive line and made them worse from your decisions.
Yeah.
You made the depth on this offensive line worse from your decisions and the people you brought in. This is something of your own doing.
But Wasted, you know what's crazy?
Like you get any kind of, autonomy from us, man.
But you know what? There's even more. The guy that fixed the O-line, that got it together low-key last year, right? He's still in the building. Joe Philbin is in the building. Like, why don't you lean on him a little bit? He's up there with Chip Kelly, literally every single game helping him call the game. Like, the guy is in the building. Lean on him. I understand you want your son and to be able to, do his thing and so on and so forth. But there's a guy in that building that has worked with O-lines for a long, long time. And what we seen last year, when we moved on from our former O-line coach, was Philbin come in, coach those guys up, and they improved. So it's just, once again, man, these guys are in their way. They're in their own way. I'm just looking forward to hopefully Spy Tech taking this as a sign to say, this isn't going to work. We got to move on. Let's get younger. If you want to get younger, you got to get younger. And what I mean by that is, you want to bring in young talent, bring in a young, talented guy that can, relate to them, that can develop those guys and be here every step of the way to get them correct. I don't know what the thought process was having a 73-year-old guy, 74-year-old guy come in the building and work with all these kids and expect different results.
What's going to happen? They're going to win within the next 2 years. That's why it was baffling, because timelines are important.
Yeah,
everybody has to learn and grow together, right? I say hiring Pete is almost like a 60-year-old man having a baby with a 25-year-old woman.
Yeah,
because by the time that kid is 24, 25, you're probably dead.
Yes,
right. And what's starting to happen now, you have people who are probably positively influenced by Pete. They thought bringing Pete here was going to get the Raiders to respectability, and then the next generation was going to take it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But now, since that's not happening, you've set that timeline to respectability back 3 more years. Mm-hmm. So now, when are we going to be respectable? The time Pete's 80? this can't continue. That's
but,
all.
But you know what? This is also the shit that kills me. And Estat, my bad, brother. I did not see it. We were kind of ripping and running. But this is the thing that kills me. You go out of your way to say that Caleb Rogers is not ready, that he's struggling in practice and so on and so forth. What is that saying about the other O-linemen out there that have been ass this entire season? Like, honestly, like you can say that about Caleb Rogers. He's not ready to go yet when it's crystal clear. Will Putnam he gave up 3 sacks last night, I believe. Like honestly, like he's not ready to go yet. Jordan Meredith is clear cut. He wasn't ready yet to be moved to center. Like there's so many question marks with this O-line, and you're saying that the guy that your general manager took in the 3rd round is not ready to go yet. Like,
and the guy that you took even after that is not ready to go when Stone Forsythe has been, unequivocally one of the 3 worst left tackles in football since he's been playing.
It's crazy, man. Salute to Brian on becoming a member as well. If you guys want to become members of the channels, both links are pinned up top, you guys. They definitely help us keep the lights on. You already know, man, it's been slow motion in Raider Nation. There's nothing to be happy about. So we appreciate everybody that comes through and pulls up and helps out on that end. So salute the Green Dot gang. Salute the Get Off My Lawn gang. We appreciate you guys. And salute to my dog on becoming a member. Salute to S. Dot. I always butcher this dude's name. Loanne and Caden Proctor for Raider guards at next 2026 draft. I seen the comment that you put on the video as well, S. Dot, the last live that we did. I forgot to hit like on it, brother, but I definitely agree that we need to get both those spots together in the draft. And I think that this is a pretty good, if not great, interior O-line class in this year's class. This is the year that if you can't get your quarterback, go get you an interior lineman, a center, a guard or 2, and go get you a linebacker or 2.
Build the infrastructure of this team.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and also the defensive tackle position. There's some really interesting names at the defensive tackle position also in this draft. So we're going to start covering that very soon, you guys. We have 7 more weeks of this hell, and then we're on to the draft. You guys know how we do. Shieldmore does not let up when it comes to the draft process. We're going to be covering new athletes every single day here at Shieldmore, whether it's a solo from Wasted, a solo from me, whatever we got going on, we will be covering this draft every step of the way. So stay tuned for that as well, man. So S. Dot, appreciate you. Graham says, watch this draft a tight end. That would be, at this point, like, what the fuck are we doing? You got Michael Mayer on his last year of his deal. You can re him up, and you got Brock still on a rookie deal. That would be insanity,
bro.
Yeah, that would be insanity. But I seen that too, Tommy. Lincoln Kennedy looked disgruntled or disgusted talking about this bong water. Yeah, I definitely heard him talking about. I seen a clip on Twitter today with him and Q.
Yeah. When you talk about guys being perpendicular to the line.
Yeah, man,
bro.
Yeah.
Dog, you know what, man? I tell you what, man. This offensive line play has been almost as ugly as Hug D's, and it don't get much ugly.
Very ugly. Yeah,
that's ugly. And
there's not too many people that can pull off a baby blue blazer, and he didn't do it.
Crazy, bro. And Hug, I'm gonna be honest with you.
Hug like a wrestling manager in his default picture. Look, he look like
Hug looks like Captain Lou Albano. Listen, Hug, if you ever dream that you want smoke with the great and powerful wasted talent, you better wake up and apologize.
Yeah, he looks like a used car salesman.
Doesn't he?
Yeah, like real shit. Like that's crazy, bro. That's wild.
Hug these. You look like you were selling. Go ahead, man. Just go ahead.
Yo, he looked like a retired baseball player that nobody remembered on the team. And like when he retires, like he goes places and tries to dress up nice for people to remember who the fuck he is.
Yeah, Hug D's looks like a maitre d' at a buffet.
Yeah. Yo, what was that man? What was that manager on WWE? His face used to be all red and shit.
Brother Love,
bro.
I love you.
Yes, bro. Brother Love with a baby blue blazer. Salute to Demon King gifting 5 Raider Nation Unlimited Wasted Talent memberships.
Appreciate my brother.
We appreciate you, Jay. My dog always coming through and blessing the channel. And I love that we got to do this show today because Jason's a huge fan of Jason Fitz. So it was really cool that my dog got a chance to sit back and kick back and enjoy the show, man. So salute to my dog as well. Other than that, you guys, we do have, he said, eat a whole cornucopia of cocky fuckers. Yo, 5 new gout members. He's stupid, man.
Yeah, your bum.
Prophet says, love you, brothers. what is a greater importance, free agency with the money we have or work to accumulate draft picks?
Both.
Well, obviously, yes. You have
Both
to
of
have
them.
a mixture of both. We have 20 plus free agents ourselves, Raider Prophet. There's going to be a lot of holes on this roster, pause if necessary, that we're going to have to fill. And we have a ton of money to do it. And we have a ton of draft picks to do it as well.
I hope John Spytek is there like our boy Wesley Pipes. Don't cheat me now.
Don't cheat me now.
Don't cheat me.
Don't cheat me.
Be there with a baseball cap and some Timbs like Mr. Marcus.
Don't cheat me now. Reese, Stu will be on the show this week as well. We're actually been texting during the show. So we're going to do a Stu show as well this week. Says, thank you for saying that, Wasted. I truly felt the same way last night. 30 plus years of support for the Raiders, but the decision made last night hurt. You know what's so crazy? This is why I love doing these shows, right? We got almost 1,200 people in the room. Get wasted with your boy Graphic, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, I'm saying, though, like, we do these shows, it's a reminder how much we love this team. Like, it's a getaway from the team that we love by still talking about the team that we love. It's wild how we can all make each other feel better about this football team by just coming together, you know, every single day, every single week, and just kicking the shit. You know what I mean? Because again, it sucks, man. This is a very, very difficult team to root for. It's a very difficult team to root for. Like, they just find new ways week in and week out. Did you see the play, bro, with the onside kick?
Oh my God!
Like this is what I'm saying, right?
After a safety.
After a safety. After we called the safety, we knew what time it was. When they were backed up at the half yard, like, oh shit, Genty's going to be in the end zone and they're going to give it to him. And that's exactly what happened. But again, you watch that and you're like, what the hell is going on? They find ways year in and year out, week in and week out, to just break our hearts in several different ways. But guess what, you guys? As much as we're going to sit here and rant and talk our shit and be frustrated and scream and shout, we're going to be here. This is what it is. Yeah. We're going to be here every step of the way. I've seen a lot of people quit this season. You know, over here at Chillmore, that's not what we do. Yeah. We're going to be here.
And what we don't do is we don't just throw baloney against the wall to see if it sticks either.
No.
We give you information and not affirmation. We give you credible people. We bring on credible guests, and we are trying to get you guys as close to what's going to happen as possible, right? Yes. Like there's a lot of stuff that's floating around Raider Nation now, and believe none of what you see and half of what you hear.
Yeah,
right? Like you got people that take scouts tweets and make lives off of it, and it's just crazy.
Yeah. And salute to our brother Scout. That's family over there. He'll be here shortly. He hit me up in the inbox today, and he said, bro, when the season's up, these articles are going to be crazy, because you know he's in his bag with the pen right now. Yeah, just hit me up about an hour or so ago, right before the show, which is
you got to get the great butane regulator.
Salute to Rolling Doves. Appreciate you, brother Mando. Oh, you go tune in. Go watch Wasted's live last night. You'll get a chance to check out the crash out for sure. So. Other than that, you guys, we do have some other dope guests on the way. I put it out there yesterday because I am very confident in what we got going on behind the scenes right now. And I'll update you as well, Wasted behind the scenes, but some gold jacket love, gold jacket love, baby. We on some.
I gotta update you too. I got some motion too with some more gold jacket love.
Okay, so some gold jacket love, baby.
Oh, yes.
So, stay tuned. A few of them. So stay tuned. We're in our Hall of Fame era right now. You know how we've been like. We'll have the rooks. We'll have some of the veterans pop up. Like, I feel like we're like in our alumni bag right now. We're in our Hall of Fame era right now.
Yeah, so, we got to feel good about what's going on. Because the past was a lot greater than the future. Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah. Salute to Hug, my dog, man. Gifting 5 OLV Raiders Network memberships, my brother. Salute to you. We appreciate you so much, my guy. One of the GOATs over here, the original My Father himself. For all the new members in the building, salute to you guys. If you want to become members again, hit the links that pinned up top. Once again, they definitely help us keep the lights on. Again. So anything on the way out, brother? I see those yawns are starting to form like
I'm all good, my brother. I'm all good.
Okay. Other than that, man, once again, we will be back this week, you guys, with a ton of content leading up to the Cleveland game. I got a lot to talk about this week because, Shador is on the menu, and this is going to be comedy gold if he actually goes out there and just carves up this football team. It's going to be absolutely just absolute insanity. But other than that, man, love and appreciate you guys so much. Thank you to Jason Fitz. And once again, man, you heard it out the horse's mouth himself. He's going to frequent the shows a little bit more. We're going to have some fun. We're going to get Fitz on and, Yahoo and Fox, and salute to everything he got going on over there. He'll be over here more frequent, and the guy knows his shit. That's what's so dope about bringing on guys like Jason Fitz that actually know what they're talking about. You know what I mean? So salute to my dog. Other than that, man, love, appreciate you guys. On the way out, wipe them feet, man. Hit them thumbs up, pay your bar tabs, and hit that subscribe button. Oh, and also salute to everybody who's going to be listening on Spotify and Apple Podcasts right after this. We appreciate you as well. Salute. We are out.
Touchdown!